Hey YouTube, how you guys doing today? For those of y'all who've been here before, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. And for those of y'all who have no idea who I am, would allow me to introduce myself. For it is I says me, Cisco Soldier, aka Uncle Trey. Welcome back to the channel. Thank y'all for coming back. I appreciate y'all coming back. Thank you for coming back. Hey, listen, this video right here, there's no clickbait, all right? We were not trying to deceive you in any type of way, okay? We have a very, very, very special guest today, okay? This man achieved his master's degree from Western Governors University in only 12 days, okay? So we have a very, very special show for you guys. All right, you know how we do. It's going to be live. It's going to be lit. You know how we get. So for all my accelerators, motivators, and procrastinators out there, all right, I want y'all to strap in tight because we about to get it lit, okay? So check this out. Also, another thing that the individual was able to do, right, was this individual was able to get a job, right, a DOD job without a security clearance, okay? He's going to tell you all about that. So we got a lot of stuff in store, okay? So what I need everybody to do, everybody that's in the sound of my voice right now, go ahead and click like on the video. We need to get up to 50 likes, satisfy this YouTube algorithm, and yeah. So without further ado, everyone, please give a warm welcome to Josh Madakor. Josh, Yeah, I got it. How you doing today, brother?
Good. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm doing fine, man. Hey, before we get started, man, I want to thank you very, very much, man, for coming on the show. I'm very humbled to have you on today.
No, it's an honor. I appreciate you reaching out, and I'm glad to be here. So thank you.
Too easy, brother. Hey, so let's go ahead and get started, man. So look, if you could, please, for the people, right, so we can frame this for the audience, please give us, like, you know, the elevator speech about yourself and what you have going on right now.
So I'm a very weird person. First, I just want to say that. I like to study a lot, and I would say my superpower is I can be alone for like a long period of time and just kind of study and kind of do my own thing without getting like too lonely. And that's really kind of helped me a lot in my career because I've been able to like study a lot of things and kind of get into IT, then make my way into cybersecurity and like get a bunch of certs and get a lot of experience. Just based on the fact that I can kind of buckle down really well and study. But if you've watched my channel before, I have like a video that kind of talks about my career, and I'm like the master of job hopping, and I have like so many jobs, and I feel like I can't really stay in the same place for very long. Like my current job is I work for a local government in Washington in King County, but I'm about to quit in like 2 weeks. My last day is going to be September 3rd. So again, quitting another job. So I like technology and I work really hard, but I can't really stay in like the same place for very long. So that's kind of like a summary of how I am, I guess I would say.
So growing up, like what kind of got you interested in like information technology and things like that?
So when I was growing up, my mom was a beautician and my dad, he wasn't really around me that much, but he worked in state government too, but he was like a scientist. So I didn't really have exposure to their careers very much, but I did like to play video games. I played Nintendo a lot, like the regular Nintendo. Then I played like 64 and then GameCube, and kind of along the way, I picked up computers. I think I was like 12 or 13 when I kind of discovered that I could play games on my computer. And then my computer was really bad at the time. I just got one for free and I was like, oh my God. And I started like asking my grandpa and my neighbors like how I can get like a better computer. And then someone suggested to me that I build a computer along the way. And I was like, wow, that sounds like really interesting. So I was kind of into Legos and like kind of messing with stuff anyway. So I ended up getting help from one of my neighbors. They kind of helped me figure out what I needed to do to build a computer, like get a motherboard and like the CPU and RAM, like all the parts. And then I built a computer. I think I was 13 the first time. And then after then I was like really into computers. I didn't really start programming until like way later in life, but I was pretty much into computers since I was like 12 and 13, just to like kind of build them and play games. And then I didn't really get professionally into it till I was like in my 20s. So.
Okay. So what were you doing like prior to the time where you started when IT, like where were you working and stuff like that?
So I wasn't really doing anything of substance. Like I was working, so until I was like 22 or something, I would work in like Kmart or like Walmart or like Albertsons, like these grocery stores, like bagging groceries. I did like a lot of pizza delivery and stuff. And then finally, when I became I was like 21 or something. I worked in like a hotel, and I was really tired of being poor. I remember I wanted to buy like a Subaru WRX like really bad, and I was like, I cannot buy one with this hotel salary. So that's when I kind of decided to try to go to school and like get an actual education and get into IT.
Okay. Hey, so like I was watching, because like I'm a big fan of your YouTube channel, right? Which I'll definitely leave a link in the description up here. I was watching a video one day, and you talked about like how you had decided like, hey, I'm gonna get a DOD contracting job, right? And then kind of led you to like going over to Japan. Could you talk to the audience about that? And then I like how I mentioned earlier about the whole security clearance thing and stuff like that.
Yeah. So first of all, I wanted to go to Japan because I kind of been studying Japanese like on and off for like many years, and it was really appealing. Like being in the military was appealing to me, but I'm kind of one of those people who are like, I almost joined and like I never did, because what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I thought like maybe a happy medium would be to work in like a defense contract or something, and then go to Japan. Then I kind of have the freedom to like leave if I want to, and then I don't have to like fully commit to being in the military. That sounds kind of bad, but so I kind of researched, and I kind of discovered it's hard to get a defense job without a security clearance, and it's hard to get a security clearance without actually being in the military. So I kind of looked up at least the base requirements to work in IT and defense. You need to have like a certain level of certification. Well, you have to be a citizen, right? And then you need to have like, depending on the job, you need to have like IAT or IM level 1, 2, or 3, depending on what you do. And like to satisfy those, you can get certificates like CompTIA Security Plus for like IAT level 2, and then you can get like CISSP for IAM and IAT level 3, which kind of covers all your bases. Correct me like if I'm wrong about any of this.
Right. You're right.
Yeah. So I kind of like prepared myself the best I could. So I went out and got like Security Plus, and I got CCNA just for the knowledge. Then I got CISSP just so I could, from a like certificate and credential standpoint, I would be kind of squared away. And then I kind of looked for companies that would sponsor the clearance, because some defense contracting companies they'll like sponsor your clearance for you if they really want to fill like a spot. They'll have you fill out like this form called SF-86. It's this long paperwork. It's like for your background check, I guess. So you got to find a company that will do that for you. And I just got really lucky, to be honest, because it's really hard to get a job in Japan, because Japan is kind of one of the more in demand areas to work overseas, as opposed to like Iraq and like Afghanistan and Qatar and like Kuwait.
Right.
So like if I were to give advice, the hardest thing about that is getting the clearance without being in the military. So you may want to look at jobs like just getting the clearance the first time. You might want to look at companies like Vectrus, so where they have like a lot of Army contracts. You know them?
Yeah, Vectrus was very, very big. The last time I was in Afghanistan, I was in Iraq in 2019, but I had to go to Afghanistan for a couple of months first. And Vectrus pretty much, first it used to be like KBR, and then it was like Halliburton and KBR, but Vectrus was the main one with the contract, like for like all of Afghanistan and all of Iraq. The last time I was there in 2019.
Yeah. So like I kind of imagine like not a lot of civilians just want to go to Iraq and Afghanistan, and some of the places are not that bad, like Qatar and Kuwait are not really that bad. So if you really want to get a clearance, I might recommend just getting your certs and then applying for one of those that they might be like more, I don't know if desperate is the right word, but like they're more likely to hire someone without a clearance and like sponsor you for that, just so they can like fill the slot. And then after you work there for like a year or whatever, then you'll have your clearance, and then you can potentially like go other places more easily. And actually, I got hired through Vectrus as well without a clearance. I just didn't end up going that route. And like one of my coworkers also got hired at Vectrus without having a clearance too. So I feel Vectrus and like maybe the larger ones sending people to like less desirable places might be a little bit easier. But that's just kind of how I did it. Like get squared away in terms of your certification and credentials, and then just start applying. Don't be too picky if you want to get a clearance. Don't be really too picky about where you go. But that's pretty much sums it up.
Yeah, so for anyone that's out there watching, I'm glad that Josh brought that up. So like, you can go to a website, it's called dangerjobs.com, right? And then you can find a lot of these different contracting agencies, or you can just go straight to their website, Vectrus hiring.com or Vectrus careers. And then they have different jobs in these combat theaters where soldiers are. There are some ones that like that's less dangerous, right? So like Josh was mentioning, like you go to Qatar, not much happening over there. You go to Kuwait, not much happening over there. Things like that. It's very, very hot. Let me tell you that right now. But you have a great chance if you can get hired on to those jobs, right? You have a great chance of making six figures. And then like Josh say, you can be sponsored for your security clearance. I know like when you go to those jobs, like when the taxable income, so you will make tax-free income up to like $100,000, and then after that, then they're gonna beat you across the head. but that's just for anyone out there that's looking to get their feet wet, can't find any opportunities stateside. That's another avenue for you to go and to pursue. So like just lastly on your experience going to Japan, so like you were an American citizen, going over there, getting hired through a company. How was like your overall experience just working as a DOD contractor and dealing with the military, since that was kind of like the reason that you was going over
there? It wasn't really that positive of an experience. So first of all, I quit my other job because I really wanted to do something new. Like I really wanted to like do actual work. But I ended up getting my interim secret clearance, and I got it, and then I went to Japan, and I was at my post. I worked in S6 in the Marine Corps, which is like the communications. And after I got there, they were like, oh, you need like top secret with poly to even do anything here. So I couldn't log into the switches. I couldn't like do anything at all.
Poly meaning a polygraph, like you got to take a lie detector test for you to be able to get that clearance, what you're saying.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, well, how long is that going to take? And then they were like, they don't know, essentially. They guessed like around a year or something, because it was around the time when OPM got hacked. So everything's like super slow. So for the duration of my time there, I couldn't really do anything that was like had any meaning. I just would like carry crap around or like clean something or like.
You sound like you were a soldier.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't as bad because I didn't have to work like 16 hours, but it wasn't, from a technical standpoint, it like wasn't that good. I just got a lot of studying in, I guess, because I was sitting around. But as far as dealing with the personnel, so we were on a Marine Corps base, so it was mostly Marines, and the officers I dealt with, they were all really nice actually, and they treat me like pretty well. And in general, like a lot of the junior enlisted like treated me pretty well. They always like call me sir, which I didn't really get until like I left. I don't know if they didn't know if I was like prior or something. I don't know, but they were like really nice.
You know what, Josh, to be honest, like when you're working as a contractor and you're around like the military, because I work around a lot of like contractors and DOD contractors and have throughout my career, the number one assumption is that you are a soldier. Like that's the number one assumption. Like everyone's like, people will just walk up to you like, hey man, so what did you do when you was in? I don't know if you got that question, but that's pretty much like, that's the general assumption. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Yeah, I had to explain a lot of like, I don't know what's going on. I'm like a non-prior. I'm just like a guy. I'm just a guy here. But I got treated pretty well for the most part. A lot of the senior enlisted didn't treat me that well, actually. Like I got I don't know. I have like a whole video that kind of like talks about what happened. But
I'll post it. I'll put it up there.
Oh, okay.
So I appreciate you sharing, with the military, and then, like I say, and even in the video you mentioned that your overall experience was positive, with the military and everything. So, I'll let the people go check out your channel to find the rest of that saga.
Okay.
Josh is speaking about. Hey, so going into could you please tell us like what now we're going to transition into like WGU, because that's what the main, kind of topic of the video is and everything like that. So could you please tell everyone like how did you find out about WGU and why did you decide to like, join the school and pursue your degree with them?
So Basically, I forget how I found out. I think I was a member of this forum called Tech Exams. It's called something else now. It's like InfoSec Institute or something. But I found out about WGU from them. But it was appealing for me because when I was in community college doing my associate's degree, I kind of discovered that you could challenge out of certain classes. Like if you kind of felt like you already knew the material, you could just take the final and then you get credit for the class immediately. I was like a normal brick and mortar school. And I was like, oh, that's interesting because I can kind of focus on one class at a time, and I can really like save a lot of time if I already know how to do something, or if I feel I can study it faster than the quarter like teaches it.
Right.
Yeah, I was like exposed to it at that time, and I saved a lot of time in my associate's degree before I even knew like WGU existed. And then I started getting like certs on my own, like A+ and like CompTIA, or A+ and like Network Plus and Security Plus. And I kind of discovered this forum along the way, and like a lot of people in that forum, the techexams.net, it's called something else now, but a lot of people on the forum were into WGU because like WGU kind of combines like those certs with like a normal kind of academic curriculum and lets you accelerate your degree. So that idea was like already kind of implanted in my head from challenging classes in college. So I was like, oh my God, this is like really cool. So that's like kind of how I got into it. And once I discovered WGU, I kind of picked the degree that I wanted to do. And I kind of started getting the certs that aligned with that degree. So I would kind of have them all ready. And then I would, what I ended up doing is I just enrolled, and then I kind of transferred all the certs in, and then I just did it as fast as I could and got my bachelor's in like, it was like 5.5 or 6 months or something. But the idea of being able to do things at your own pace, like being in control of everything and not spending like 3 or 4 years and like disrupting your work schedule and all that, that was like all really appealing to me. And that's kind of why I got into it.
So what did you decide to get your bachelor's degree in? What degree plan was that?
So at the time, it was just the generic information security one. But there's like a lot of different ones, like the cloud centric one, like network one. I picked at the time what I thought was the easiest one. It's kind of the generic one with a bunch of CompTIA certs. I just picked that one because I already had like a few certs at the time anyway. But if I wanted to do it faster and I was doing it today, I would pick one that didn't have a lot of certs, like maybe IT management or something.
Right.
Because those tend to be like easier than going out and getting third-party certs. Tends to take a little bit more time, but I just got the generic IT at the time.
Yeah, speaking of that, like, so I know you made another video, talking about like that, like how to get your degree under like 6 months. I believe that was kind of like the title. So what advice would you have? Because, we have a lot of people in our community, right? We have the accelerators like yourself, then we have the motivators, and then we also have the procrastinators, right? Like, so like what would you say to like the procrastinators, or, anyone who life circumstances are getting them down? Because I mean, after working 8 hours, 12 hours a day, right? So, you come home, you just feel tired, like you don't feel like doing anything, right? Or you just have different life circumstances that pop up. So what kept you focused? You know what I mean? So maybe someone can get something like that. Like what kept you focused and kept you from being distracted and achieving your goal?
Yeah, I can talk a lot about this. So this is my opinion, so kind of take it with a grain of salt. But the way I think about it is like we have like kind of a finite amount of I don't know if motivation is the right word, but we have like a finite amount of mental energy throughout the day. Like for example, you physically can't learn calculus for like 12 hours a day every day. Like your brain will die eventually. So like a lot of people in their life, they have a lot of stuff that takes up a lot of their energy, whether it's like a job or kids, like stuff you can't do anything about, like your kids. You have to take care of your mom, a loved one, or something like this.
Right.
Or maybe you're doing other stuff that you don't need to be doing, like hanging out with your friends, which is nice, or watching Netflix or something that takes up your time and energy. If you want to, for example, get your degree or a cert or anything like this, but you just find you're too tired at the end of the day, like you have to, like, kind of brute forcing it works to a certain extent, but sometimes you have to free up some kind of energy elsewhere in your life, whether it's like maybe you have like toxic friends somewhere that you can kind of distance yourself from a little bit, or maybe your work is just really hard on you, and it takes away too much of your energy, and it's getting in the way of you actually getting what you want, which is difficult because you need to work to get money.
Right.
You kind of have to really like step back and like look what's going on in your life and like what's taking up the energy, and like trim back those things that you can do. Which is one of the reasons, like if you watch the video where I job hop a lot, that's one of the reasons why I hop jobs a lot, because there's stuff that I want to do all the time, but those freaking pesky job keeps like getting in my way. And it's hard because you get like you have salary and you get money, but you also want to do this other thing to better yourself. So you kind of have to like make the decision of what you want to trim out. And like I say, I'm weird because I always like chop my job. For example, like right now, I want to focus on YouTube like really bad, and I want to like potentially apply to like PhD program, and I want to like do all this other stuff, but I have like a program manager job that like sucks my energy, and I get paid like 130K to like have my time and energy sucked like out of me, like from this job. So I kind of like at some point, like I always get to the point where I'm like, all right, you have to go, because like I want to do like this other stuff. I want to use my energy for this other stuff. So to kind of summarize, I guess what I said, like just look at your life and like look what's taking up the energy and like making you tired, and like trim it back as much as you can. Maybe you have to get like a different job that's easier or something. Like it just depends. Like
Well,
that's just
there's like an old saying, man, that says if you have money, you don't have any time, and if you have time, you don't have any money.
It's true.
That's because, like, you even look at the military. You come in the military, you got all the time in the world, but you're making 23K, when you first come in at the beginning, right? So it's like, then when you get up in the years, what I'm saying, you start making your 70s and 80s, you're like, man, I'm working, just like right now, I'm in a position, man, I'm working 12, 14, 15 hours a day. Like I have no time. I also have that aspiration, man, to like, focus on my YouTube channel, but it's hard to make videos, man, when I got to come do this. And then, I got to come home and it's like, okay, now I'm in daddy mode. Now I'm in husband mode. Like now I'm in, what I mean? So, but I definitely agree with what you're saying as far as cutting back stuff, right? Because, Cisco Soldier, man, I have vices, right, that get in the way of, studying and productivity, right? Like one of my number one vices is Madden, right? John Madden, on PS4, right? Yes, I'm 41 years old. Yes, I still play the video games, but I just love to do it, right? And that just chops away my time, messing with little apps on your phone, what I mean? Like messing with your sleep, right? When you're trying to go to sleep and you're laying down, you're like, okay, I'm good. I took a shower. It's 8:30. I'm gonna lay down. I'm gonna give me some good sleep. And next thing you know, you done TikTok and Instagram your way into 11:45 or 12 o'clock at night. You know what I mean? And that's messing up your mind for the next day. Like, you know what I mean? So we just have to scale back, like, like Josh was saying, man, like scale back our Netflix, scale back our Facebook, scale back our, hanging with friends on the weekend, right? And I'm gonna get on to the next question, but just another thing that people can do, that I found success with in my life, man, is whatever is the hardest thing, try to do it first, right? So like in my household, everyone sleeps till 10:30, 11 o'clock. So I try to wake up at 7 o'clock, and that's where I get my main studying in before it's time to, do the chores and take out the trash and wash dishes and stuff. I try to study from like 7:30 to, 10 o'clock. That way, hey, no matter what happens for the rest of the day, I've already put in a good 2.5 hours, you know what I mean? So that could be another successful strategy for the people out there. Yeah. But hey, so check it out, man. Now, getting into the meat and potatoes of this thing, right? Man, listen, Josh, I'm gonna look right in the camera. How in the heck did you get your doggone master's degree in 12 days, bro? I might have said 16 prior to, and Josh corrected me. It was actually 12 days. I don't care, man. It wasn't 9 months. Like, how the heck did you do that, man, where you got your master's degree in such short a time, brother?
Yeah. So I don't like I haven't even made a video about this yet because I don't really know how to like approach talking about it.
Right.
But it requires like a lot of kind of explaining, I guess. So I guess I'll just start. I don't really know where to start, but
Well, hey, well, look, put like this. Now, I don't know if this was the video you had where it was the 6-month video, but it was one video that you had where it's kind of like you had all the courses broken down, and you had them broken down, whether it's like, okay, I have to do an exam, or I have to do a paper, or this requires a third-party cert. This is how I attack this, and this is how I attack that. I don't know if you remember kind of the strategy that you laid out in that video.
Yeah, I remember. So I guess there's like two things I want to say, like how I did it and like how I would recommend other people to do it, I guess.
Okay.
So for me, this is the Masters of Science in Cybersecurity and Information Assurance. So for me, this particular degree lined up really well with my person and my career in general. And I didn't have to really study like at all for it. And I'll kind of explain why that is. So this might be boring, but so for me, like all the classes in this degree, like it either mapped really, really well with something I did at work, or mapped really, really well with something I did in my like associate's level studies, or it mapped really well with something that I had already studied like exhaustively. So I could just like take the class and like, so for example, like the very first day, I forget what the classes were. Like it was an intro security class, like C725. And then the next one was like secure software design or something like this. They were both like objective assessments. And the first one, it was just like a kind of watered down security plus mixed with CISSP a little bit. So I just like my first day, I just took that and I passed it like immediately because I already have like CSSP. And I when I was studying for CSSP, I went through something crazy, like 4,500 unique questions. And I used Anki, and like, I really like beat that curriculum into my brain, like really hard. And then the secure software development was just a subset of CISSP, which I already like beat to death. Plus I've already done like a lot of software development myself and like security reviews. So that class ended up being like really easy. And like the other classes in the master's program was like the ethical hacking class, and then the forensics class. And
in my ethical hacking, is that CEH, or is that just an ethical hacking class?
Yeah, CEH.
Okay, cool. So you had to take that cert to get that class out the way, third party.
Yeah. So that was the only third-party cert I had to take in that the master's program. And I didn't have CEH yet, but I studied CEH like super hard, like way like a couple of years ago. And then I recently like studied OSP. I was studying for my OSCP. I didn't get it, but I studied for it like really hard, and I popped a bunch of the boxes in the lab. And then before the actual master started, I studied CEH again. So I was already like just ready to take it. So I took CEH immediately, and like I passed it. And then the CHFI, it's like the forensics course. It used to be CHFI, but they just changed it to like a WGU exam. The computer hacking forensic investigator. I went so hard on forensics in my like pre-WGU. I have like a bunch of certs from my community college, and I've been through like a bunch of physical labs doing forensics. So I was like super squared away on that. It deals with like a lot of chain of custody and like different kind of laws and like affidavits and stuff. And I had already like a lot of experience with that. And then a lot of the other classes, they kind of dealt with like security engineering, security architecture, and like kind of building solutions and doing risk assessments, and like all of that I do like pretty regularly for my recent government job. It felt like I was like doing work, honestly, when I was doing the master's. So I just would like get the next class and just like do it, and then do it, and then do it, and then turn it in, do the next class and like turn it in. Like I didn't have to like take the time to study. So that's why I could do almost one class per day. It was like 1.4 classes per day or something. Which is like it's really strange. Like I wouldn't expect someone to be able to do that, because it just kind of really lined up with what I personally did in my career, which is why I said like, if I want to explain it, I want to say like what I did, like what somebody else should do, because like not everyone's like kind of career and like stuff will line up as well as it did for me, which is why I could pass in 12 days. I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, it makes perfect sense because, like, I have a lot of people reaching out to me and stuff like that, and asking me questions, like, hey, Trey, am I too old to get started and stuff? And what I try to tell people, and just kind of like what you're alluding to, is like, hey, man, you don't know how much life experience you have that will help you once you start studying this material. And just how you were, highlighting, it's like, man, by virtue of my job, I've already been doing a lot of this stuff. So as I look at it and read it, it's like, oh man, I could just kind of go through this material because I'm kind of already, surfing, if you will.
Yeah, and I want to say, like, anyone who's watching this and thinking about getting that particular degree, like the Masters of Science in Cybersecurity, it really, really lines up well to like what I do in my actual job, like the doing projects and doing like security review and like developing a solution and coming up with like policies. It's really, really realistic. So I would, if you're on the edge about it, just know that at least from my opinion, I think it works really well. It mapped really well to my security engineering job, which is like 118K, and it maps really, really well to my program management job as well, which was like around 130K or something. So it's really realistic. And after doing the degree, I feel like, wow, this is like pretty on spot, in my opinion.
Hey, so let me ask you a question, Josh. Like, so with you, right, finishing the bachelor's degree in 6 months and then also finishing the master's degree so quickly, what role did like your course instructors or program mentor play in this process?
For the bachelor's, she didn't really play any role. Like they wanna like call you every week or every other week, depending on whatever. They just called to check in. They didn't really do anything for me because I'm already like
self-motivated, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm really like self-sufficient and like learning and figuring out stuff. But and like I only had one meeting with the master's advisor,
right?
And then the degree was done,
right?
But like I'm almost done with the computer science bachelor's now, and the CIs, or the course instructors for computer science, are really good because a lot of that curriculum's like quite hard, and the classes are like quite hard for me. It's taking a while, but they
data structure and algorithms and stuff like that.
Yeah, data structures and algorithms, and discrete math 2 is like quite hard, and then computer architecture and OS for programmers was pretty hard, for me anyway. But they were able to actually give me some really good resources, and it's kind of the first time at WG where I actually like really used the staff, I guess, to like help me, if that makes sense. But they're pretty smart, and from my perspective, if you need help, if you reach out, they'll usually help you pretty well. I just didn't deal with it that much for the IT and cyber degrees.
Now, I know, you mentioned earlier, like, hey, you kind of introverted and stuff like that. But, like with WGU, one of the things that impressed me the most, and one of the things I like about it, like there's like a huge community all over these different like social media sites, right? Whether it be Reddit, Facebook, whatever the case may be. Did you kind of like look at any of those as you were kind of going through any of your degree plans?
Yeah, I use Reddit almost exclusively, like 90%. I kind of researched all the classes and like all their course numbers, like C964, C960, and I would Google like WGU C960 site Reddit, and then kind of get the general strategy for like every course, and I would kind of map them all out. And how to really optimize my like what I did to pass each course like as fast as I could. So yeah, I use Reddit like quite a bit.
Like Reddit is like it's like an unofficial course chatter, because they already have the course chatter, right? Like inside of the class that says this. Reddit is just, an available one because like you don't really have access to the course chatter until you start the class. So Reddit is where you can do your recon, right? So it's like, okay, I got C838 coming up. Let me go ahead and, see what people are saying about it. And
exactly.
It's pretty good. I find a lot of value in it. And then like, even when I'm discouraged, I find like the funniest memes on the WGU, the Facebook page, whether it be the procrastinators or the accelerators. I do find some joy in those. But like I say, I made my bones, for the people that's out there watching, just like Josh, I made my bones primarily on Reddit. That was like the #1 place that I went to seek out information.
Sure, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So like with your YouTube channel, so like what kind of things you got going on with that, and what are you working on?
So for YouTube, it kind of evolved into kind of general IT and career advice with some kind of cybersecurity stuff mixed in there about like salary and like job hunting and interviewing and that type of thing. And there's a lot of WGU content. So I pretty much just make content based on what the analytics want and what users are asking for. So a lot of education, a lot of IT stuff. And I kind of have this like personal policy. I'm doing my best to stick to it. Like whenever somebody asks questions or comments, anything, I'll respond to everybody. So I just try to like answer everybody's questions in the comments, and I just try to focus content on what people are asking for. So I'm just gonna kind of keep doing that. Like after I quit my job, just kind of keep doing that and see where the analytics takes me, I guess.
Hey, so I'm glad you mentioned that, man. So you talked about like how finding jobs and stuff, and you talk about how you bounce around from job to job. What like how do you prepare, in your in your viewpoint? How is it best to prepare for like the interview process, for things like that?
So what I would do for depending on what kind of job you're looking for, let's just say like help desk, just to be easy. Like I would look on the internet for maybe in practice interview questions for that particular job role, like maybe look on Glassdoor or something like this, and then maybe pick like, I don't know, like 20 questions or something, and just practice like answering the questions, like not only just to like, not necessarily to like memorize the answer or anything, but if you practice saying the question out loud, maybe go on a walk by yourself and like just practice saying the question out loud, you'll be like much less nervous during your interview because you kind of already have, I don't know if I can say muscle memory, but you've already like kind of practiced articulating your answer. So you can kind of free up that extra space in your brain for something else during the interview. So you're not like having to think about how you want to answer the question. Like instead you can just answer it naturally. And then you can use the extra brain power to like engage the interviewer more, or maybe ask them questions or something like this. So I'll just, practice talking to yourself and kind of maybe anticipate the questions and, practice doing it so you don't feel like as nervous when the time actually comes around to do your interview.
So how do you go about like negotiating salary, or how do you know like what salary you should actually ask for when it comes to like pursuing a new job?
Yeah, this is a really good question. It deserves like a whole video. But for me, it's really more complicated than I think people think about, because you can't just ask for like a random high number, right? The corporations are generally rich, right? They're rich, they have a lot of money, but you can't just, there's a certain point like where if you ask too much, they may possibly look at you like, oh, like you're gonna like easily quit, like if they hire you for less or something like this. I think you should always negotiate like a little bit, maybe for your area, like research what the job pays for that area, like maybe use Glassdoor or something. And then or you can even base it on your previous salary, but you just have to be careful. You can almost always negotiate up like a little bit. And you don't always have to, depending on the place where you negotiate, you don't always have to negotiate with base salary. You can negotiate with like paid time off, or you can negotiate with stock options. Like maybe you're getting hired at, I don't know, some Twilio or something,
like a FANG company or something.
Yeah, especially FANG company. Like maybe they can more easily increase your stock by like 50K per year, as opposed to like your base salary 50K per year for whatever reason, like maybe budget or something. So it's hard to like really like straightforward advice. I would always just for sure negotiate up, and then consider like stock and like pay time off, and as well as a base salary too.
I've always heard you should negotiate up, like maybe like 5,000 at a time, 10,000, whatever you feel comfortable with. Hey, I've heard you mention a couple times since we started, you mentioned like Glassdoor as far as like a job hunting site. What other job hunting sites, like when someone has their resume built out, what other job hunting sites would you target in order to like find jobs?
So my kind of default one I go to is Indeed. And if I find a job on there, or not necessarily a specific job, but maybe like a type of job, and I think it's cool, if I want to look outside of Indeed, I might take like a chunk of the job description that I found and like search in Google with quotes around it. So I can see like what other job sites are posting that job, if that makes sense. And then maybe I can, for example, maybe it appears on like Monster. I don't know if Monster exists, but maybe it appears on Monster,
Well,
or maybe it
Monster,
appears on, yeah, or maybe it appears on like a different job hunting site that I didn't know existed, or maybe that job appears on the actual company who's hiring for that job, if that makes sense. So Indeed primarily, and then I'll take snippets from the job description, search Google for those snippets, and like kind of see what else comes out, if that makes sense.
Do you like kind of tailor? Do you have like your general resume in mind, and then you kind of tailor it to fit each job position, or do you just go straight with your generic, kind of like resume of what you've done over the years?
It really depends. If it's like a private company, like non-defense, like the government, I'll tailor it pretty well.
Okay.
I'll tailor it pretty well to the job. And if I'm really serious about the job, which hasn't been recently, but if I'm really serious, I'll for sure like tailor my resume like really well. But if you're applying for like a defense job, I tend to make the resume as like verbose as possible, because those defense recruiters, I don't know why this is, but they always ask me to like put everything on my resume.
Oh yeah, man. Like those like federal jobs, the federal resume is like 4 pages, and versus like going the other route, non, like you said, defense jobs and stuff like that. But they want to know like everything.
Yeah, that's what I found in my experience. So I tailor, I guess if I was gonna give a short answer, I kind of tailor it for each job. Unless I don't care, then I'll just send it. But I don't typically don't do that.
Hey, and let me ask a question, because I know the people will like beat me up if I don't ask you this question. But like, has your with your degree from WGU, right? Since you've earned it, has that opened up any doors or any more opportunities for you as you're in your recent job searches and stuff like that?
I'm sure it has, but it's one of those things you can't really tell that it's happening. But I've been able to, like, I got a job to get a work visa in Japan as a US citizen, like a non-defense one. You have to have a degree.
Yes.
And I got a job over there with my WGU degree, but I didn't end up like taking it and working it. So I got a job. And then I'm kind of, this is like semi-secret, but I'm kind of semi-pursuing like the Army Director of Mission Cyber Officer.
Oh.
I'm kind of doing that, and because I have a degree, I'm able to apply for that.
Right.
And
right.
then same with the Navy cyber warfare engineer. I'm kind of in the process of doing that. It's kind of on hold because I'm waiting for my the computer science degree to finish. I haven't actually applied for those things, but I can apply for them because I have a degree, I guess. So it's definitely helped, and I've definitely been able to get like a lot of jobs. But I've never had anyone tell me like, oh, because you have a degree, like that's the only reason you got this job. But I've been able to get a lot of jobs, and I have a WGU degree, so I guess you can kind of correlate that however you will, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking on. I was looking on because like I'm in a position right now where I'm going to be transitioning from the military within the next 14 months or so. So I've been looking on like LinkedIn and stuff like that. And then, as I search, I haven't put my resume on there yet, but, as I search kind of like, the stuff that I've already put on there, and I put WGU on there. And then, as I was searching for jobs, like I seen like, a couple of jobs post up with like, hey, this many alumni are already working for this company and this company.
Oh, nice.
So I was like, oh man, that's pretty good, especially for what I plan on doing when I get out and stuff. So that's cool. Great. Yeah, man. Hey, so, man, I just, I'm like I say, man, I just appreciate it. And thank you for the wealth of knowledge that you have given us today. And I appreciate you so much for coming on the show, man. And, You know, is there any other thing that you want to put out there or say to the people before we go?
I I don't know. I appreciate you watching this, and I appreciate you having me on here. I don't know if you're thinking about getting your degree or thinking about getting into IT, but you don't really know where to start. Just go on Reddit and look at kind of general advice, or listen to, watch Trey's channel or watch my channel, and just start doing something, whatever it is. And then along the way, you'll kind of figure out like what you like and like what you don't like, and then as long as you do something, you'll make some kind of progress. So just keep that in mind, I guess.
All right, guys. Hey, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us today. Thank you very much. If you have any questions for myself or Josh, go ahead and put it in the comment section, and we'll make sure that we get to you guys. But we appreciate you guys watching. All right, it was me, Cisco Soldier, aka Trey. Thank y'all and appreciate your service.
Thank you.